Hi gang, it's Mr. McFarlane here. Mr. McFarlane and Miss Taliva are doing this on a weekly basis. This is the Wellington Academy Cookery Club, the WACs. We are the WAC group, all right? And we're going to do this every week for you guys. And we're going to do a nice sort of easy, friendly recipe that you can have a go at. We're going to use ingredients that you got in your store cupboard at home, nice and easy. We've got flour, butters, sugars, and we're going to do maybe savoury dishes, sweet dishes, and see how we go along. So, today's recipe, I'm going to do the cookies with you. I know I've done it before. Some of you might have done this with me, but it's a good fun recipe, and we thought it would be great to start off with. So let's go for that one. Right, now, first thing you're going to do is make sure you've got a nice clean kitchen. You're going to make sure your hands are washed, get yourself an apron on, whatever, all right? Make sure it's all nice and clean. Make sure your parents aren't using your kitchen, they're not planning to do the meals or whatever. Make sure you've got some time to get in there and have a look and get your equipment sorted. So, with the recipe we've got here today, I'm just going to read it out, but it's also online with this video, so you can go through there. We've got 65 grams of caster sugar, 65 grams of softened butter. Now this doesn't have to be butter, it does say butter on your recipe. You could use margarine, anything like that, it will do the same job. You've also got 50 grams of soft brown sugar. Don't use demerara sugar, it's a little bit too coarse. Use this nice soft sugar, all right? You should have some of this, and it's really cheap to get as well. We've got egg as well. You're looking at, basically the recipe says half an egg. So obviously to do half an egg, what you do is put an egg into a little container, whisk it up with a fork or something like that, and then you're just going to tip half of it out and use half an egg. Obviously if you want to double up the recipe, use a full egg, go from there. Vanilla essence, okay, should have some of that maybe at home, it shouldn't be a problem. Self-raising flour. Now make sure you use self-raising flour as opposed to plain flour. Okay, a lot of you might just have plain flour at home. Now I've been through this with you before, you know the difference between the two. Plain flour, if you put baking powder into it, you end up with self-raising flour. So at home you might have plain flour and some baking powder, not a problem. Just put in half a teaspoon of baking powder into your plain flour and you've got self-raising flour. But because Miss Taliva's got me nice and organised here today, she's got me self-raising flour, so we're good to go on that. So we're looking at 110 grams of self-raising flour. I'm going to weigh that out now. Can you use the electric scales? Okay, hopefully you've got a pair of these at home or a set of these at home. Put my bowl on there, zeroed it. If it comes up a certain weight, press the 0 button again, make sure it's accurate. One thing about cooking desserts and pastries, you got to be accurate with your measurements. It's not like you can bit of this and bit of that. You've got to make sure that you get it right. So what did I say? We're looking at 110 grams. Get in there, get in there, get in there. Not bad at all, chef, not bad at all. Right, so I've got my flour and then chocolate. Now, if it's like me, I've got so much chocolate in the house at the moment, and I keep thinking, I'm going to eat that one day, I'm going to eat that one day, and it's still sitting there. So if you've got bits of chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate left over there, brilliant, not a problem. So what I thought I'd do today is basically use all the bits of chocolate that you might have hanging over. Don't use chocolate that's got soft centres and things like that. That's really important. Make sure it's just like bar chocolate like this. I've even got Easter eggs hanging around, which is kind of scary. So it's about 75 grams of chocolate we're looking at here. Give or take a gram or two, it's not a problem on the chocolate front. Okay, so I've got all my ingredients here. I've got my bowl ready to go. And everything's sorted. Now, I can't tell you how easy this recipe is. It's just crazy. But it is one of my favourite cookie recipes. And what I like about this recipe, I'm going to show you a chocolate version here today. You can change it. You can, instead of doing chocolate in there, you could put some fruits in there. You could put some cherries in there. You can put all sorts. You can do a combination of chocolate and fruit and things like that. I've even, with this recipe, I put in things like coconut and stuff like that. It's really good. So although I'm doing a nice simple version here today, please don't worry about what you're going to pop in there. Right, so white sugar in there, brown sugar in there, soft butter or margarine in there, and now we've got to try and combine all these ingredients, which, believe me, is not an easy task. And when I've done this with students before, basically they're like, "Chef, it doesn't mix very well." And it's like, no, I know it's not going to, because, why do you think that is? It's because proportionately you've got so much sugar in here and not that much fat. So normally when we make cakes and sponges, we have an equal amount of sugar and fat, and therefore it mixes really, really well. But with these bad boys, it is so high in sugar, don't tell your parents, it's so high in sugar that it's really quite difficult to get it mixed up. So don't panic. A lot of students say at this point as well, "Chef, is it all right if I stick my hands in there and mix it by hand?" Well, I'm not saying you can't, it's not a problem, but the only thing is, you get all over your hands and it's just like, no, it turns into a whole nightmare. So best if you can do it with a spoon like this. Just take your time, mix it. Now I've sort of got it kind of getting together there. And what I'm going to do now is my vanilla essence. Now a lot of vanilla essence is a little bit cheap, and so they don't have that much flavour. And I wish I could afford the nice vanilla essence, the really posh ones, or even vanilla pods. There was a time when I could buy vanilla pods, but they're very expensive. So we kind of use the cheaper vanilla essence there. So you might want to add just a touch more vanilla essence than you normally add. So you can see now that's all getting nice and mixed. And you can see that the butter now is getting mixed in with the sugar, and it's starting to get nice and creamed together. Got a little bit of a lump of sugar there, so I'm going to break that bad boy down. There we go. There we go. Right, so far so good. Brilliant. Now, next stage is egg. Now, it says half an egg, just so you kind of know, all right? What I'm going to use here is a measuring spoon. Hopefully you've got some of these at home. It's a tablespoon here, and I'm going to put in 1.5 tablespoons, which is about, we reckon, is about equivalent to half an egg, okay? Measuring spoons are great things to have at home, really nice and cheap to get, and then help you so much, you know. And I know you're going to say, "Oh, we haven't got any of those, Chef, we've only got like dessert spoons." Well, if you're kind of, as an average, a couple of dessert spoons is about equal to a tablespoon. So, you know, if you haven't got a tablespoon, that's not a problem. Right, so eggs in there now. Now I'm going to mix it, and it's probably going to look like something that the cat has vomited up on your carpet in your kitchen. All right, but that's not a problem. Right, look at that, lovely and smooth. Now, flour. Now, Chef is panicking now because he's looking for a sieve. Because we've got to sieve our flour. And yes, my producer and director today capable hands of Miss Taliva is giving me directions from behind the camera. And so that is kind of helping a little bit. It's when she starts going like this. And that's like, I got shut up. But we're doing all right at the moment. Right, she hasn't done that. Right, flour, sieved. Now guys, you remember why we sieve flour? What does it take? What does it put in there, and what does it take out? It puts air in, it takes the lumps out. Really important. All right, mix that around. Here we go. See, this recipe is so simple because it's basically all in one bowl here. Get it mixed. I'm not using my hands too much because basically that's gonna melt the butter and make it too soft. So try and use the spoon as much as possible. Now, so that's our basic mix. So easy. Hot tip for today. Chef's hot tip is when you're chopping something, put something underneath your board to stop your board moving around. Okay? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop the chocolate. Okay? So, got my trusty chef knife here. Okay? My chocolate, I've got that underneath the board. Look, that's not going anywhere. There's nothing worse when you try to chop something and your board's like up and over here and up and over here. Put that under there. This is cheap stuff. We bought this. It's a non-slip stuff, and we just cut it down to the size of the board. Really good. Right, chocolate. Now this is where chocolate's going to start pinging all over the place. Now, I'm doing the claw here. Okay, remember we did the claw? Get the tops of your fingers right back like this, okay? And then you can chop, and then it's nice and safe, and you're not going to chop your fingers off, all right? Remember, there's two different ways of using your knife. You've got the claw and you've got the bridge. Remember, the bridge is this way, all right? Which kind of works for this, but doesn't get the chocolate very small. So if we use the claw, we can do this and get the chocolate nice and small. Now, the chocolate doesn't have to be minute. You know, if you want your chocolate quite chunky to put into your cookies, it's fine, it's not a problem. It's your cookies at the end of the day. I don't mind, you know. There we go, we're getting there. If you wanted to, if you're like, chef, I don't know if I want to really be chopping chocolate and it's really not my thing, then what you can do is get yourself a grater. Let's have a look here. We've got some graters here. And if you use a grater, use this big side here. Don't use this, because you'll be here forever trying to get the chocolate out your grater. Use this side here, and it'll work as well. Right. I reckon that's pretty good. Right, we all happy with that? Yes, chef? Good, that's what I like to hear. All right, I'll move some of my debris away, because you know what I'm like. Work tidy. Get rid of my egg. Keep tidy as we go along, and it's all good. Right, so I'm going to pop all of my chocolate into this. Some of you might decide, I've had students, what they've done is they've kept a lump of chocolate and put chunks of chocolate in the top of each cookie. You could do that as well if you like. But I'm going to pop all my chocolate in there. Oh, look at that. I can see a phone call to my dentist straight away. Okay, so much chocolate and so much sugar in there that it's just, yeah, well, your parents are going to be cursing me. They really are. But don't worry, we're going to do some healthy things in the following weeks. We're going to do some savoury things and some healthy things, but I just thought it would be really cool to start off with a nice simple one. It gets me used to doing this, gets Miss Haliva used to doing this, and then we can kind of hone our skills. Right, now, I don't want to handle this too much because I don't want to be melting the fat that's in there, okay? Now, there's two ways you can do this, okay? Number one, roll it into like a sausage like this. Dead easy. And then use a knife and cut it down into discs. Just bake them a little bit flat like that. And do you remember I showed you once about using a palette knife? And kind of just turning them around like that, making them nice and round. You can do that way. Dead easy. Or, let me show you the other way first. Or, what you can do is just take a little bit of your dough and roll it like this into a ball. You don't have to flatten these down too much because basically what will happen is as they cook, they kind of spread, okay? There's quite a high content of sugar in here. My stuff out of the way. Quite a high content of sugar, and so they will kind of find their own way. So whichever method you use, pop them onto your tray. Quite a bit of space in between, okay? Notice that? That's to allow for that spreading. Squish that down a bit. Nice and round. You can have all sorts of fun here. And, you know, a lot of students in the past, what they've done is they've done massive cookies. So they might take this mixture and actually make it into like about 3 or 4 massive cookies. And that's fine, it's your cookies, it's up to you entirely. And, you know, because the important thing is, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, you're having fun. And, you know, I've spent a few hours in kitchens myself, and unless you're having fun, it's not worth it, yeah? So, I'm gonna take it down like this now. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna get all of those onto that tray there for the moment, miss. Mm-hmm. So what I think I'll do is just do those. Now, another little thing I do with these sometimes is like things like walnuts and nuts like that are really cool in this. And you could put a walnut in the middle of each of these. That looks really nice when they're cooked. Half a glacé cherry in the top of each of these, or even just a tiny amount of a glacé cherry in the top of these, just to make them look really nice. Not a problem. I've also had, whether you think you need more sugar or not, students, what they've done is they've sprinkled a little bit of sugar on the top, and it gives it a little sort of sugar glaze when it's cooked, and they come out really nice. So, you know, you can do all sorts of things to these cookies, dead easy, all right? So what I'm going to do here in a minute, I'll finish off the rest of the cookies. I'll get myself another tray. I've put them in, they're going to go in the oven. The oven's set at 180. Now, if you've got an oven that has a big fan in it, at home, some of you do, all right, don't forget if it's got a fan in it, you might want to turn it down just a little bit by about 10 degrees to 170, something like that, just to help. So they're going to cook, and what we're going to do when they come out of the oven is that we're going to put a picture up on the website, on the Teams, and you can see what they look like when they're cooked. That's if we haven't eaten them all in the meantime, all right? So, what I want to just remind you guys, it's a Wellington Academy Cookery Club. We're going to do this every week, okay? We're going to do some different recipes, have some fun. If you've got some ideas for recipes and things that you want to see done, we can do that as well. So we could take a vote on things that you want and sort of have a go at doing those things. But the thing is, you've got to have fun. And the big thing is, you've got to clean up your kitchen afterwards. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble, I'm going to be in trouble, and mums and dads are going to be all over me and saying, what are you telling them? All right? So have fun, enjoy your cooking, all right? And Mr. Lever and Chef says, always, always keep smiling.